I was 23 years old when my father lost everything. He built his construction company from nothing, 30 years of early mornings, missed birthdays, and calloused hands. By the time I graduated college, he employed 40 people and was bidding on major commercial projects. Then he partnered with a man named Robert Chen, real estate developer, smooth talker, the kind of guy who wore expensive watches and made promises that sounded too good to be true. They were. Robert convinced my father to invest everything into a luxury condo development. "This is the big one," he said. "We'll both retire rich." My father took out loans, mortgaged our family home, put every dollar the company had into the project. 6 months in, Robert disappeared, along with $2 million. Turns out the whole development was a scam. Robert had done this before in 3 other states. By the time the FBI got involved, he was gone. My father was left holding debt he'd never recover from. He lost the company, lost our house, lost his reputation. People in our town thought he was in on it, that he was a con artist too. Nobody believed he was just another victim. My father never recovered, not really. The stress, the shame, the betrayal, it ate him alive. He had a heart attack 2 years later, died at 58 years old. At his funeral, I made a promise. If I ever got the chance, I'd make Robert Chen pay for what he did. I just never expected that chance to actually come. 15 years passed. I became a nurse, specialized in geriatric care. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work. I took care of people in their final years, made them comfortable, gave them dignity. I'd mostly moved on from what happened to my father. The anger had faded into a dull ache. Robert Chen was probably living on a beach somewhere under a fake name. I'd never see him again. Until the day I walked into room 304 at Riverside Care Facility. The patient file said, Robert Chen, 79, stage 4 lung cancer, no family, DNR in place. Just another elderly man dying alone. I'd seen hundreds of them. I pushed open the door with his medication tray, barely glancing at the name again. And then I looked up. It was him. Older, obviously, thinner. His face was gaunt, his skin gray, but it was definitely him. The same sharp features, the same cold eyes, now clouded with pain and morphine. He didn't recognize me. Why would he? I was just a kid when he destroyed my family. And now I was just another nurse in scrubs. My hands shook as I checked his vitals. He winced as I adjusted his IV. "Sorry," I said automatically. "It's fine," he rasped. Nothing compared to the pain anyway. I should have requested a different patient, should have told my supervisor I had a conflict of interest. But I didn't. Because looking at this man, dying and alone, I realized something. I finally had the power. He was completely dependent on me, for medication, for comfort, for basic dignity. And he had no idea who I was. Over the next few weeks, I took care of Robert Chen. I was professional, competent. I gave him his medication on time, kept him clean, adjusted his pain management when he needed it. I did my job, exactly as I was trained to do it. But I also listened. Robert was a talker. The morphine loosened his tongue, and he had no one else to talk to. No visitors, no family. Even his lawyer had stopped coming. He told me about his ex-wives, 4 of them, how they'd all betrayed him, taken his money, turned his kids against him. Bitter laugh. The irony wasn't lost on me. He told me about his business deals. Bragged, really, even in his weekend state. About properties he'd flipped, investors he'd outsmarted, money he'd made. One afternoon, after I'd given him his afternoon dose, he looked at me with those cloudy eyes and said, "You're good at this, taking care of people. You ever want more out of life?" "I'm happy with what I do." "That's what people say when they've given up." He coughed, a wet, rattling sound. "I never gave up. I took what I wanted, made my own fortune." "By stealing from people?" The words came out before I could stop them. He looked at me, surprised. Then he smiled, actually smiled. "You've heard about me." "Yeah, I bent some rules. But that's business. You know how many people would have done the same if they had the guts?" "I just had the guts." I adjusted his blanket, my face neutral. "And now you're dying alone. Was it worth it?" His smile faded. "Get out. I'll be back to check on you in 2 hours." That night I went home and cried. Not sad tears, angry tears, frustrated tears. This man had destroyed my father, ruined dozens of families, and he felt nothing. No remorse, no guilt. He actually thought he was smart, a winner. I thought about my father's funeral, my mother standing there in a borrowed black dress because we'd sold everything, my little brother asking why nobody came, the whispers behind our backs. And here was Robert Chen, getting morphine and clean sheets and professional care. It wasn't fair. I could make his suffering worse, I thought. Could forget to turn him every few hours so he'd develop bed sores. Could be just a little rough with the catheter. Could delay his pain medication by 30 minutes, then an hour. Nobody would question it. Understaffed facilities, overworked nurses, mistakes happened all the time. I could make him pay. Finally, make him pay. The next morning, I requested a meeting with my supervisor. "I need to tell you something about the patient in 304. I explained everything. Who Robert was, what he'd done to my family, why I couldn't remain objective." She listened, then sighed. "Do you want me to reassign him?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "No," I said finally. "But I needed you to know, for liability reasons, and because I need someone to hold me accountable, to make sure I'm doing the right thing." She studied me. "Are you going to do the right thing?" Pause. "Yes, I am." I kept taking care of Robert Chen. I didn't make his suffering worse, but I didn't make it easier either. I was professional, nothing more. No small talk, no comfort beyond the medical necessities, just efficient, competent care. He noticed the change. "Did I offend you the other day with that comment about ambition?" "No." "Then why are you acting different?" "I'm not. This is just my job." As the weeks went on, Robert got worse. The cancer was spreading, the pain was increasing, his lucid moments became fewer. One night, I was doing my rounds when I heard him crying. Not moaning in pain, actually crying. I stood in the doorway, watching. This powerful man who'd stolen millions, who'd destroyed lives without remorse, sobbing in a dark hospital room. "Help me," he whispered when he saw me. "Please, it hurts so much." I walked over and checked his pain medication. He was due for another dose in 30 minutes. 30 minutes he'd have to suffer. 30 minutes I could make him wait. I looked at his face, tears on his cheeks, complete helplessness in his eyes. And I realized something. Making him suffer wouldn't bring my father back, wouldn't undo what he did, wouldn't heal anything. It would just make me like him. I adjusted his pain pump, giving him the medication early. Within minutes, his breathing eased, the tension left his face. "Thank you," he whispered. I didn't respond, just finished my checks and left. Robert Chen died 3 weeks later, alone, at 3 a.m. while I was on shift in another wing. The facility held his body for 2 days before a cremation service picked him up. No funeral, no memorial, just a man who lived 80 years and left nothing behind but damage. After he died, I found something interesting. He had money, lots of it. Offshore accounts, investments, property. His lawyer had been trying to settle the estate, but there were no heirs, no family that wanted anything to do with him. The money would eventually go to the state. All those people he'd destroyed, including my family, would never see a penny. That's when I realized the real revenge, the real punishment. Robert Chen didn't die because I was cruel to him or kind to him. He died because that's what happens to everyone eventually.
Rich or poor, good or evil, we all end up in the same place. But the difference is what we leave behind. My father left behind people who loved him, who mourned him, who remembered his kindness, his hard work, his sacrifice. 15 years later, people in our town still talked about what a good man he was, how he didn't deserve what happened to him. Robert Chen left behind nothing. No love, no grief, no one who cared that he was gone. He spent his whole life taking and scheming and winning, and in the end, he died alone, in a room that smelled like antiseptic and regret, with only a nurse who hated him to witness his final moments. That was his punishment. Not anything I did or didn't do, just the natural consequence of a life lived without empathy. People ask me if I feel like I got revenge on the man who destroyed my father. The truth is, I didn't need to. Robert Chen's life was his own revenge. Every relationship he burned, every bridge he torched, every person he betrayed, they all added up to a lonely, painful death where nobody mourned. I didn't have to hurt him. Life already did that. I just had to be better than him. And I was. My father would be proud of that. Have you ever had to face someone who hurt you or your family? Did you take the high road or did you get revenge? Let me know in the comments. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real stories about karma, justice, and the choices we make. This is Revenge Diaries, where sometimes the best revenge is just being a better person.